I just dropped a video today about pedestals, and I can't remember if I tied that back to narcissism or if just the tendency of people to put other people on pedestals. I believe it is a product of religion and narcissism to place things on pedestals. Obviously, you're placing your God on a pedestal, but to place anything that you admire but can't attain as being more special than you are. Because you're told that you're fundamentally flawed, there's something wrong with you from birth, and that you have to be shamed because of it. You constantly bring shame upon yourself, and you see others that have broken out of that shame in some ways that you weren't able to. You're going to put them on the pedestal. You're going to view them as more important than you, or more special than you, having more access to these things that you desire than you do. And I'm not sure if that's a way to not judge other people, or to not be jealous of other people, to not judge your own situation or have envy for them, is to put them on that pedestal. But it's a way of exalting them beyond their true standing. It's a product of not recognizing our own sovereignty either, and seeing someone else as being more sovereign than you are, or more deserving of things than you are. And in that, we have middle-class people defending the rich, the billionaires. And so they're blaming the poor for all the problems in the world and defending the billionaires as if they're not the ones causing it. And it's the poor people's fault for ending up where they were, even though the whole system is rigged against us. Even the middle class, it's rigged against them too, only they just figured out a way to, I don't want to say tread water or sell their soul just enough to get by to where their delusion that they've built for themselves is enough to compensate for the amount of slavery that they actually participate in. Just think about how much someone has to become a slave to their job and their status and place in society, all of the consumerism that goes along with that, just in order to keep up. And look at all of the dysfunctional products of that situation that happens. A middle income sort of suburban housewife sort of situation with a narcissistic husband, there's some issues in there that usually never get handled until it's too late for some people, whether that's addictions or eating disorders, some sort of mental disorders, narcissism reflecting in their offspring. I mean, there are some mental issues going on with people that choose to be ignorant of the way that things are in the world right now. People that keep deciding to play this game, feeding into it and perpetuating it and defending the billionaires, not recognizing the billionaires as the problem, and demonizing the poor and the homeless, and not recognizing the humanity in other people, not recognizing the fact that fundamentally we're born on this planet and we're told we can't go certain places, that certain people own certain things, that in order to go these certain places and live these certain ways and eat and drink and have access to these things, that we have to do certain things in order to achieve that. Why? It's a basic human need to need food and water and shelter. And for someone to come along before you and claim ownership over anything on this rock and tell you that now you have to pay in order to participate just because they got there first, that doesn't seem right. They try to convince you of that. So they get you in this rat race and they get you working, and for your idea of freedom, your ability to just have shelter, have food, have drinkable water and clothing, that's your idea of freedom. But you're working, you're literally working your soul ragged, trying to keep up with the demands, especially lately. Like, you know, at one point, I'm sure the 50s, 60s, the 70s even weren't that bad. But now, what we have to do to keep up, we're not even keeping up anymore. Independence is a luxury. There was never freedom. It was just they figured out a way to make all of our money go to the rich more than before. So now more is being skimmed out of the middle and going straight to the top, so that you can't even get to the point where you realistically would have to make, I think the number was $35, $40 an hour in order to be somewhat comfortable. Why has it been my entire career, the object, the goal to hit was six figures? Like, that was you're doing all right if you're at six figures. Why does that image stick out in people's heads? When in the 70s, it was $25,000 to buy a new house. Shortly after that, in the 80s, is when the decoupling started, when the income inequality from the richest of the richest to the working class average just exponentially separated from each other. We watched it go like that for decades, and now we're here. There's so many people that are still blind to the hamster wheel that they're in and the rat race. They're blind to it because they don't realize that participating in it is just keeping it going. The more people that check out, that's the true freedom. Taking our power back is the true freedom. Too many people are scared to lose what they've worked so hard for. They've been working so hard to keep that house of theirs and their food, their clothing, their fancy car, whatever they consume. And because they've literally sold their soul to get it, they're willing to keep this thing going as long as possible to keep that dream alive. But not realizing that in the end, it's going to fail in some way. It always does. Whether it ends up you tried to craft the perfect life for your offspring and then they end up disappointing you or turning out a different way than you intended and causing dysfunction that way, or it always ends up coming out in the end. Why we can't realize that and just decouple, just say enough is enough. I was saying that I dropped a video today about the pedestals. We need to take the billionaires off of their pedestals. They're no longer impressive in this world anymore. What they're doing and what they stand for is the oppression of humanity. We can't participate in that anymore. We need to take our power back, because that's the only way that we will truly have freedom. Is it that in our own narcissism and denial of what's going on and how we've placed these billionaires in unattainable positions on this pedestal of achievement, that knowing that we'll never be able to attain it, that we attempt to mimic it in every way we possibly can? You can see it with the mimicry of symbolism, of like how certain cultures of people will kind of cling to like the Mercedes emblems and Gucci and all these Birkin. Now Walmart is carrying a Birkin bag. Why do you think that is? It's mimicry of an idolization. It's literally training everyone to idolize the rich so that we don't revolt against them. We're taught to make them our masters so that we don't call them out on their bullshit. I'm not saying that the people who have bought Birkin bags are the issue, but it's the culture that it perpetuates, this idea that people with more money than us are better than us. That if we can mimic someone who has the money, that we're going to be better than other people and make us feel better about ourselves, even though realizing we're just as much of a slave as everyone else. But we're trying to mimic that delusions of grandeur with your Walmart Birkin bags, feeling all great and better than other people. For what? I thought it didn't matter what other people think. And as if a Birkin bag sold at Walmart is actually the same quality as the ones sold in the boutiques. It's all mimicry from the bottom up. People trying to even just get the Mercedes logo. Like, you see that show up in some really odd artifacts. People obsessed with that sort of lifestyle so much that they're willing to mimic it and go out of their way to mimic it in such cheesy fashion. It's like you don't have a Mercedes, but yet, you know, you got the symbol for some reason. The symbol is like the driving force there. And I know you know what I'm talking about. The desire to mimic your idol, your masters, is a clear sign of what they are. They're being idolized. They're being put on the pedestal for their status, not realizing that they're the reason why you have a desire to mimic them. Because so much has been removed from your life by the system that they control, that you feel you have this need to make yourself feel better by mimicking them, by trying to pretend in every way that you're just as much of a king and a queen. By, what do they call it? I remember, it's the smartest kid with Down syndrome. You might feel the smartest, you might feel the best, and you might, you're great and you shine above the rest, but the rest of what? Look around you. Where are you? And the reason for that is them, is the very people that we're idolizing. The politicians that get away with anything, criminals in charge. We need to take them off their pedestals.